Hello ladies and welcome to the fourth and final video in your Masterclass series. So we're going to talk about boundaries and assertiveness in this video so that you can actually create the structure and the container for your dream happy life. So boundaries are so important, and unfortunately sometimes people have a misconception that when you're going to create a boundary it's this like harsh wall or like a block against someone, or that you have to like separate yourself to have like this boundary and prevent yourself from toxic people. Like it has to be like this kind of harsh bad thing. So I want to like clear the junk and negative energy around that for starters and show you that there's a different way. So if you kind of imagine like this beautiful field of flowers that you don't want someone to walk all over, you would just put up a fence. You wouldn't create like a 50-mile high barrier or like put barbed wire up or anything crazy like that. You'd probably just put up a fence so that people are aware that there's a beautiful field of flowers growing there and you don't want someone to just walk all over it. So even communicating to someone what your standards are, what your boundaries are, can help you in actually moving forward in creating that dream happy life. So if you have a standard in your life where you don't want to help anyone after 10 and that you're not going to answer anyone calling you after 10 unless it's like an extreme emergency, someone's in the hospital, then you can create that standard and that boundary in your life. You can do that by turning off your phone, by putting it on do not disturb, by telling people I'm no longer accepting calls after 10, that's my downtime and I'm going to start relaxing during that time. Just by communicating that and knowing what your standards are, you're able to create those healthy boundaries around that. And another thing, especially people pleasers have a hard time doing, is saying no to people. They feel like they're obligated or expected to do things over and over again, and they just have to say yes to certain requests. And that's not true at all. And I've actually created some baby steps in between saying yes all the time to getting you to say no, so that you're able to move in those comfortable baby steps as you transition during these different phases of your life. So if you're at the point where you're saying yes all the time, you can begin by saying yes, but on your terms. So if all of a sudden someone's asking you to drop everything you're doing for like a party that is going to be on the weekend, and maybe it's like a Tuesday, and they're like, I need you to like get these decorations and bake a homemade cake and do all these things, and you're like, oh my gosh, like now I can't go to the gym, now I'm gonna have to stay up late until like 2 o'clock in the morning to get this cake made and all the prettiness of the design that they want so that it's homemade and just gorgeous. Instead of kind of bending to their whim and doing all of the things that they're requesting, you can actually create a standard in your life that you can say, okay, I have maybe 2 hours the day before the party. What can I do to help you then? And then kind of create that communication between you and the person who's making the request to see what you can do in maybe a 2-hour period, or what you can do 2 hours right before, if you can just come early and decorate and buy a cake right before you go there. So saying yes, but on your terms, and then expanding that to saying, yes, I'll help you in the future. I love anniversaries and birthdays, and fortunately we know that they're going to come every year on the same date. So I need you to tell me a week before, a month before the actual party day for what I need to do, for what you'd like me to do, and then we can make sure that it fits in my schedule so that you can ahead of time plan in time to go make a cake and decorate it all fancy and do everything that you would want to do or that they maybe want you to do, and make sure that it actually works for you so that you can say yes on your terms and create new standards going forward. And it's really great to start creating boundaries with people who are the most loving and supportive and open in your life. Don't start with the hardest, most stubborn person. Start with the most easy ones. And then it's actually really cool because sometimes they begin to like spread that within the family or within the friend group of what your new standards are. Like, oh yeah, you have to tell them a month in advance if you want that cake made, or you have to let them know a week in advance if they're going to be able to help you decorate for an event. So then it kind of becomes new standards in your life that people begin to expect. And then you can start saying no. So no, I can't help you for the party this weekend, but I'd love to help you for the next one. So that you're still kind of saying yes to them, you're appeasing, that you really do love to spend time with them, you really do want to be a part of the party planning process for this example, but you're going to do it next time because you can't within like 2 days notice, for example. So then you're able to kind of get in your energy of saying no and saying no more often, and then you can just say no. No is a complete sentence, and you don't need to explain your no's to everyone. You don't owe anyone an explanation. So you can kind of play around with that if you want to give people an explanation or not, or who you're going to give explanations to. but I want you to understand that no is a complete sentence and you don't owe anyone a justification of why you're saying no. So that's really important. And then for the assertiveness piece, I really like to start with the definition because when I was first understanding the different communication styles, I didn't really know what assertiveness is. So it's an open, direct expression of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs in a loving manner. So that you're not like in that passive communication where you're not really saying anything that you really want to say. You're kind of suppressing your thoughts and your feelings. You're not really saying no when you should be saying no. You're kind of just shutting up and putting up with it. And you want to move to a place where you're actually able to get that assertive communication. We also don't want you to have the negative style of aggressive, where people are mean or even abusive when they're talking to people. So you want to make sure that you're able to move forward on your journey being assertive. So there's a lot of different tools and techniques you can do for that open, more loving and direct communication style. And one that I really love is to say an I statement instead of pointing the finger and saying, you always do this or you never do that. And also, it's not really great to say always or never, especially in an argument. Someone will always be like, this one time I did this, and find that exception. But you don't want to point the finger because that's when people get really defensive. A much better place to come from is an I statement and explain how you feel so they understand how you're feeling, because your truth is how you're feeling. No one can argue with your feelings. People can argue with the facts and what different people perceive to be okay or not okay, but your truth is so important, and any loved one that you have doesn't want you to feel negatively. So if you explain, I feel sad or lonely or depressed or really irritated or overwhelmed, they're going to want to help you correct that. They're going to want to help you get back into that loving, happy, joyful, excited feeling in your life. So you want to express that in different ways. So you can use an I feel blank when you blank because blank statement. And if you want to correlate that with the worksheet, I kind of left a lot of space so that you can kind of focus on boundaries or focus on assertiveness as you feel fit. So making that statement is really important. So I usually like to use an example of a husband and wife. So she could say and kind of preface the conversation if they're kind of on different pages and they're just starting to feel some conflict, that she would really like to have a more loving and connected and more intimate and amazing relationship with him, and she just really wants to get on the same page and have a win-win situation in their life and have this lovely conversation where they're going to deepen that love and that connection back to each other. So then she could use these I statements and say, I feel lonely, or I feel overwhelmed when you come home and watch TV because I feel like I'm unimportant, because I feel that the TV is more important than me, because I feel like you're not getting the food ready or getting the kids ready for bed, whatever kind of situation that they're in. So then the husband would have the same chance to speak his mind and his truth around how he's feeling. And maybe he's doing the best he can and saying that I feel really stressed from work, so I'm just trying to de-stress and decompress from all that before I actually bring it home to you guys, and I don't want that to like cause an argument, and this is still causing an argument. So if you're getting to the point where things might be escalating in any kind of conversation, you can always take a break. So you can do like a 10-minute break and say, I'm not going to be really productive right now. I'm going to go fill out my cup a bit, so I can be having some quick self-care, going and having a little dance party or a little bite of chocolate to just pick up your mood a little bit, so you can come back a little bit more energized and in a better place, so that you're not like hangry trying to have a conversation. And especially for bigger conversations, if you're able to kind of tailor your environment around a good place to be. So if you're like thinking about moving or like big life choices, don't do it when you're exhausted and it's like Friday night and you've had a rough week. Do it when maybe it's Sunday morning and you've had a day of rest and you're just had a meal and you're in a good place together to have an open discussion that has the chance and highest probability of having that win-win loving conversation, because you'd much rather be in that state than the other one where you're just like both in low energy, both at like 10% of your energy levels, not feeling great at life and just trying to like get through this conversation, which will escalate to an argument. So you can always feel free to pause and come back. So you want to make sure that you kind of discuss this before you all of a sudden like yell pause or something, but have even like a funny or cute word that you want with your significant other, because we're using that as an example, but you could also do this with friends. So that you can see, okay, when am I going to need a break? How can we de-escalate things? How can we each go take care of ourselves and then come back? So even if maybe it's an hour and you're still like really frustrated by it, you're really triggered by it, then you can say, okay, like this is bigger than I thought. I'm going to go see what I can work on. Maybe you need to have a bath. Maybe you need to journal about it, see what else might be playing in there, so that you can kind of de-escalate yourself and get back to that loving state, being like, okay, we're going to figure out a win-win situation. I love you, you love me. We want to create a good life together. How can we make this win-win? So then for that example, you could actually find that the win-win scenario would be that when the husband comes home, maybe he watches TV for half an hour and then he comes and helps his wife or with the kids or making the meal or even going for a walk together or whatever you guys decide is the most loving thing. So you can nurture your relationship, you can nurture yourself and ensure that you're both on the same page and that you're equal, that you're the king and queen in each other's lives and have that mutual respect for each other. So that's really important. And to know that it's a learning curve to definitely do this and to just be really gentle with yourself, especially if you're doing it with a partner that you really love and you want to create really good things with, to take time and be patient with learning new things. So then I'm going to do some theta healing downloads and we can muscle test which beliefs you might have. So you can say out loud, I have healthy boundaries. I can say no to people. I have standards for my life. I am assertive. I can take time to cool down. So if you want to know how you can have all this through your higher power, and we'll just start by clearing any junk and negative energy and resentment, any anger and frustration or even rage that you have around past situations where you didn't have boundaries, where you felt like you were walked all over, where you felt even abused or taken advantage of. We'll clear all of that negative junk completely on all levels and resolve it on a history level. And we'll cut all the cords, contracts, vows, commitments, obligations, and promises around that so you can move forward completely. And if you want that, you can say yes. And we'll show you through your higher power what your life looks like and feels like and how you can have healthy boundaries. How you can say no to people and how you can be strong in your no's and be strong in your yeses. And that you know how to create and maintain healthy standards for your life, healthy expectations, how you can be assertive, how you can let go of old identities of being passive, passive-aggressive, or aggressive, and that you are able to take time to cool down, that you can fill your cup up, and that you can create and generate environments where you have win-win situations, and that you are open to expanding into more love in your life with yourself and with your loved ones and with your bigger, greater community. And if you want that, you can say yes. And then we can integrate those changes. I can also offer general healing for whatever else is ready to be healed in your body right now and fill you up with your higher powers, unconditional love, compassion, and joy and happiness. And if you want that, you can say yes. And then you can take a couple deep cleansing breaths. Then it's good to check in with your body, especially now that we've finished all 4 videos. See how you're feeling. Notice any shifts in your life. Be reflective with that. And I left for the workbook a lot of space for the boundaries and assertiveness because different people are at different stages in your life. So if you're just starting to create boundaries and standards, I encourage you to look at that piece for yourself, see what kind of expectations you want for your life so you can create those healthy boundaries around it. And if you're getting into the assertiveness, so the actual communicating it to people, communicating it to your loved ones and creating better win-win situations in your life, then you can create some I feel blank when you blank because blank drafts on that page. And sometimes people feel really comfortable explaining it as this is what I've learned, this is my worksheet about it, these are some of my examples that I've come up with, what would be some of your examples, and be kind of curious about what that other person, be it your partner or friend, has in their mind around things, what their truth is, what their feelings are around what's happening in their life. So I encourage you to do that as your action item and to really focus on what one baby step do you want to move forward. After you've done this masterclass, what is the most priority for you to just move forward? Because we want to focus on that one thing and be really gentle that we're not able to like implement 1,000 things at once. We're just being so gentle and patient with ourselves and actually moving forward with that one main thing. So if that's your self-love, your self-care, gratitude, assertiveness, your boundaries, or just moving forward and creating your dream life list and really getting that clarity that you're desiring on it, what can you move forward on? So now that you're done the workbook, now that you're done this masterclass, what are you ready to actually move forward in your life? What's going to be the goal for the next month so you can focus on it? And even if you want to plan it the next couple months, if you're like, oh, these 3 things I really want to do all at once, what's your number 1 priority? That'll be your first month. When that becomes a habit, your ritual, deeply ingrained in you, then you can start moving on to your second. So that by the end of like 12 months, you can have 12 new habits instead of trying to do 12 things all at once now and then not having anything done by the end of it. So I want to congratulate you for completing this masterclass, for sticking to the end and for doing all your homework, and just be gentle with yourself if you missed any or didn't feel called to do some of the exercises. It's so important to just shift that mindset, to just be a little bit more loving to yourself like you would a best friend. You wouldn't tell a best friend that they're failing or terrible at life if they didn't do something. So be the same way with yourself. And I want to encourage you, if you're feeling really called to this work, to let me know. I love working with people and connecting with people and even having complimentary calls with people to see what their next step is so that I can help them on their journey so that they can be happier, so we can create these big changes in the world by being that change that we want to be ourselves. So if you want to really dive deep into this work, I have some one-on-one sessions available for people if that's really like resonating with you right now. I have group coaching available as well. I have a digital program that's actually really in alignment with those 5 pieces that we've been covering over the past 4 videos. So those be, do, have list, getting really deep into your self-love, your self-care, having an attitude of gratitude, your assertiveness and your boundaries, if that's really resonating with you, that's already been recorded, so you can just fly through those 6 weeks if you would like. Or we could just get you into resources that are for free and that would totally support you in your life right now and moving forward for your highest and best good. So let me know if that's resonating with you. I'd love to connect with you on Facebook. If you want to add me as a friend on Facebook, I have those daily affirmations and daily gratitudes if you want to get some inspiration there as well. So let me know how you want to move forward, and I'm so excited for your journey. I'm wishing you so much luck and success as you move forward on your journey, whatever path you choose to take in this world. And I'm sending you so much love and light. Bye.